For today's movie review, I'll be reviewing the 1993 science fiction horror film Ghost in the Machine. And no, the movie has nothing to do with the 1967 book of the same name. And from what I can gather, this movie is constantly compared to Wes Craven's 1989 film Shocker. And it's also directed by Rachel Talalay, who's been known to make films such as Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare 2, Tank Girl. And she's also been known to work on the final episodes of seasons 8 and 9 of Doctor Who. Other than that, not much is known about the film other than the fact that it stars Karen Allen, the actress who played Marion Ravenwood from Raiders of the Lost Ark. And yeah, that's really about it. So now begs the question, is Ghost in the Machine any good? As for the plot of the movie, it's about this serial killer known as the Address Book Killer due to his habit of stealing people's address books and proceeding to murder anyone listed in the book, attempts to go on a murder spree, but ends up getting a car crash, and upon arriving at a hospital, a freak thunderstorm occurs where his physical body dies, but his consciousness gets zapped into a hospital's electrical system where he takes on a new life as a murderous electrical entity and decides to finish the job by going after a single mom and her son. So in terms of what I liked about the movie, there's enough going on to keep the viewer entertained. The way the Ghost in the Machine kills his victims are both creative and hilarious. Case in point, he kills one of his victims by burning him to death with a hand dryer. And also, the killer himself, as far as the actual character goes, he's pretty bland, but the actor playing him is so entertaining. Granted, it's a bad performance, but you can tell that the actor playing him is having the time of his life. And I also like how cold and calculated it is, because at one point you have one of the main characters trying to figure out, okay, where is he exactly? And he is intimidated when he reveals himself to the main characters. In terms of what I disliked about the movie, as for the other characters of the movie, they're not as good or entertaining as the main villain. Because if I describe the performances of the other characters, they're really bland to give rather generic performances, especially Karen Allen. Because if I describe her performance, it's basically, oh, I'm working on these movies now. Great. I'm just gonna not put in any effort, and it definitely shows. And the movie has a lot of bad CGI. Now granted, in the context of the film, they use it when they're in a virtual reality, which makes sense, but the actual CGI itself just looks horrendous. Then again, this was 1993, I mean, come on. Name a movie from that time period that actually has good CGI that still holds up by today's standards. Oh, right, that movie came out. Well, anywho. Going back to the kills, some of them are pretty creative and are instant, while others just take too long to execute. Case in point, the killer tries to kill this one dude by car test accident, and the build-up goes on for 10 minutes. I'm like, this is getting boring, the suspense is already lost. And also, some characters just kind of disappear in the movie, because for the first half of the movie, you see the main kid character interacting with this other kid, who's his best friend, and the other kid is shown to be a prominent character throughout the whole movie. Then, halfway through the movie, they're at the kid's house, and they have this babysitter, and the babysitter dies at one point. And after that, that particular friend just disappears for the rest of the movie. He doesn't show up again, nor is he mentioned. And also, I question the logistics of some of the things that happen in this movie. Case in point, the characters discover that, oh, the killer lives within the electricity, and how do you prevent the killer from touching appliances? You cover outlets with duct tape. What? I kind of question that logical point. And also, the mother has a stupid moment at the very beginning of the movie, and that being, oh, her and her sister go into this electronics store because the kid needs something, and at one point the killer is there as an employee, but no one knows that he's the killer. And he's like, oh, instead of carrying on this address book, why don't you have a digital version of it? And, he goes through this demo with her. And the mother does a really stupid thing. And it's not the fact that, oh, she plays along with the demo and gives the killer a digital copy of her address book. That's understandable, but what she does next is completely stupid, because after she gets the thing for her son and leaves the electrical store, she leaves behind her physical copy of the address book. Okay, it's one thing for the killer to have a digital copy, but then you leave behind the actual address book? That's just idiotic. And also, the people that the killer goes after in the address book itself, never met these people before, and some of them I never really killed about to begin with, because it'd be one thing if, oh, all the characters were really likable characters, but most of the people they show are just people who are generally unlikable. So it's like, why should I care for these people when they die? It's not like we got to know them in the first place. The killer's overall method and motivation just is both generic and doesn't make any sense. How it's generic, he didn't have a good childhood, which is very generic. But why he decides to, grab a bunch of address books and kill everyone within said address book, I never really understood why he does this. They don't really explain that plot point well at all in the movie. So for my final verdict of Ghost in the Machine, the movie is dumb. Granted, what I expected when the movie consists of a dude who turns into a living electrical being who kills people using household appliances. And the way the killer goes about killing people with said appliances are really unique. It's just I feel that the combination of the characters, the scripts, and the special effects could have used a lot of work. And as far as this film goes, as I said, it's dumb, but it's dumb in a sense of how fun it is. I just think you have to be in the right mindset to watch Ghost in the Machine. And before I give my final rating, what did everyone else have to say about Ghost in the Machine? So it looks like Ghost in the Machine got generally negative reviews. I mean, I'll admit it's not perfect by any means, but I didn't think it was that bad. And so for my final rating of Ghost in the Machine, I give it 3 out of 5. So what's your favorite slasher movie from the 90s? And see you later.